What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Man, there is a war brewing in the NFL with the owners. You know, it's crazy because the NFL owners literally are printing money. They are printing money. They have a new CBA and labor peace for the next, 9 years, I believe, is left on it. The new money hasn't even started kicking in. So here's what I want you to understand. When the salary cap goes up, guess what? That means the money going to the teams goes up. The NFL players get 48% of the gross revenues. So when we see the salary cap next year go up by, say, $50 million, that's like $50 million more for each one of, actually more because they get 52% of the money. That's the owners' revenue increasing by, say, another $50+ million. The NFL, with Roger Goodell as the commissioner, have made more money than ever. Think about Jerry Jones buying a franchise that was losing $2 million a month. Jerry Jones is worth like $15 billion. There's more than enough money to go around, but yet they're not happy. There is owner strife. You have Jerry Jones, of course, because Roger Goodell's contract and compensation going to him. Jerry Jones still is not a fan favorite of Roger Goodell. And I dare say that Jerry Jones having that, the guy who's kind of in charge of everything, the hit man, the guy that takes the hits for the owners, the guy who's the blame guy, that he's got a lot of power over what happens on the field. You know, when the officials call New York, they're calling his office. And I'm not sure, in the same way that Micah Parsons calling out the officials helps you get calls. So Jerry Jones, to Robert Kraft, when they were voting on whether or not to move forward with a new package for Roger Goodell. A few years ago, we were told that this was going to be the last contract for Roger Goodell at $50-some million, and he was going to ride off in the sunset. Well, he's made so much money and taken all the hits for him that, you know what, they say, hey, let it ride. And it was 31 owners that voted yes to go ahead and do that. One that didn't, which was Jerry Jones. And that's when he told Robert Kraft, don't F with me. So there's that. The thought would be the conversations about Daniel Snyder. Congress is investigating him and may bring indictments against the Washington Commanders. Their stadium is trash. They were working on trying to get a deal in Virginia, and Virginia kind of said, no, we ain't got no money for you, bro. No. There's been all kinds of suits and allegations and improprieties, the big turnovers and everything else. There is, looking at the Washington franchise, where it's kind of ugly. Not to even talk about the play on the field. That's a whole different thing. But for the first time, you had an owner actually going out and saying, we can remove Dan Snyder. And let me say exactly what he said. I'm Irsay is, he's got some skeletons in his closet. And this is where you start to wonder when you heard rumors of Dan Snyder talking about having private investigators. I don't know that you necessarily need to have that many private investigators, because Irsay, who was busted with, slurred speech in his car, the pile of cash, and some drugs, that's out there. Robert Kraft, who was at a massage parlor situation where, just a straight regular massage. Jim Irsay says it's possible. I believe there is merit to removing him as an owner. There may be the required 24 owners around the league that can vote him out. See, in order to do that, you have to have 24 owners say, yeah, I'm tired of this. That is like a wow. To actually hear one of the owners with reporters talking about forcing Dan Snyder to sell the team. That's a whole different ball of wax. Okay? Now, here's where it gets to be interesting is Commander spokesperson stating Dan and Tanya Snyder will not sell the team. It is highly inappropriate but not surprising that Mr. Irsay opted to make statements publicly based on falsehoods in the media. It is unfortunate that Mr. Irsay decided to go public with a statement today while an investigation is in progress. The team has no opportunity to formally respond to allegations. The Commanders have made remarkable progress over the last 2 years, and we are confident that when an opportunity to see the actual evidence in this case, Mr. Irsay will conclude that there is no reason for Snyder to consider selling the franchise, and they won't. And Dan Snyder had a letter to the NFL owners. I hope you and your families are doing well. I would like to address a recent ESPN article that contains false and malicious statements about the Washington Commanders, our management team, and me and my family. It is particularly shameful for ESPN to diminish the very real accomplishments of what our president, Jason Wright, who ESPN alleges was placed at the Commanders by the league and has no power to make real change. I know you know this to be false. Unfortunately, ESPN ignored our efforts to correct the many falsehoods in the article before its publication. There is one allegation in the ESPN article that I feel is important to address immediately. The article cited unnamed sources who said they had been told that Snyder instructed his law firms to hire private investigators to look into other owners, the commissioner, Roger Goodell. This is false and intended to erode the trust and goodwill between owners that I take quite seriously. I have never hired any private investigator to look into any owner or the commissioner. I have never instructed or authorized my attorneys hired any private investigators on my behalf for such a purpose, and never would. While we are all fierce competitors on the field, we are part of an organization because we love football. Our teams, our fans, having the privilege to own a franchise in American sports is something I know none of us take for granted. Falsehoods and lies being spread about any of our organizations hurt our league, our players, our fans, and we simply cannot let them go unchallenged. Thank you for taking time to read this. If you have any questions, Tanya and I always are available to answer them, and I look forward to discussing the issues with you in the appropriate time. So, yeah, you know, there's the old saying that money doesn't buy happiness. And apparently that might be the case. Hold on, guys. It might get to be rough out here. You know, some people have described the NFL like the mafia. Yeah. Just hope somebody's not going to go sleeping with the fishes. I'm Mark Holmes, and well, I'll see you soon.